There is a reason James Hetfield's name carries a different kind of weight in rock music. For decades, his voice, rhythm guitar, and unmistakable presence have helped define the sound of Metallica. But behind the image of the powerful frontman is a much more complicated creative story. How did a young guitarist from California become one of the most influential rhythm players of his generation? And why does his greatest contribution go far beyond the songs most people remember? To understand Hetfield's legacy, you have to look past the stage, past the image, and back to the musical choices that quietly changed heavy music forever. Because the story of James Hetfield is not simply about becoming famous. It is about developing a sound that countless guitarists would spend decades trying to understand. Long before Metallica became one of the biggest names in rock, Hetfield was developing an approach built around precision, power, and simplicity. He was not trying to turn every moment into a guitar showcase. Instead, he discovered something far more important. Rhythm itself could become the center of a song. That philosophy became one of Metallica's defining characteristics. Hetfield's guitar parts were often tightly connected to the drums, creating a sense of movement that made even complex music feel direct and memorable. His right-hand technique became especially influential, inspiring generations of guitarists who wanted to understand how rhythm could sound almost as commanding as a lead solo. But that wasn't the full story. As Metallica grew, Hetfield's role expanded. He was no longer simply a guitarist. He became a major part of the band's songwriting identity, contributing riffs and arrangements that helped shape its evolving sound. What made this particularly interesting was his willingness to change. Metallica's music did not remain frozen in one era. Across different albums, Hetfield explored cleaner textures, different arrangements, slower grooves, and more melodic ideas. Some listeners expected the band to remain exactly where it started, but Hetfield continued searching for new possibilities. That creative tension became an important part of his legacy. His influence can also be heard outside Metallica. Guitarists studying modern rock often focus on lead playing, but Hetfield demonstrated that rhythm technique could become an art form of its own. His approach showed that a great riff does not need to be complicated to be powerful. It needs purpose, timing, tone, and character. Few people noticed how significant that idea would become. For younger musicians, Hetfield became an example of how discipline and creativity can work together. His playing was rarely about showing how many notes could fit into a measure. It was about making each part serve the song. And that may be the most complicated part of his legacy. James Hetfield helped build a sound that became instantly recognizable, yet his greatest achievement was not simply creating a recognizable guitar style. It was helping redefine what a rhythm guitarist could represent in a major rock band. Today, his influence stretches across generations. Guitarists still study his picking, his riffs, his tone, and his songwriting choices. But the deeper lesson is more lasting. Hetfield's story reminds us that musical greatness is rarely created by one technique or one defining moment. It develops through years of experimentation, discipline, collaboration, and change. His legacy, then, is bigger than Metallica's bigger songs. It lives in the countless players who learned that rhythm can lead, that simplicity can be powerful, and that a guitarist does not need to stand in the spotlight to shape the entire sound around them. James Hetfield did exactly that. And perhaps that is what makes his place in rock history so difficult to simplify.